learning. Education must go on. Maoy hinungdan na mugna kining tulumanon og programa sa pagpalambo sa atong mga kabataan pinaagi sa kahanginan. Deped, Pagadian, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Deped, Pagadian, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Usa ka oras ka programa nga mabati matag alas 8 hangtod sa alas 9 sa buntag. Lunes hangtod sa adlaw nga Biyernes. Dinhi sa Radyo Sakto, Pagadian, DXMBFM sa Malindang Broadcasting Network Corporation. Deped, Pagadian, Edukasyon sa Kabataan.
Maayong buntag mga higala, adlaw na usab nga Lunes, January 10, 2022. Yes, maayong buntag kaninyong tanan. Ani ana usab kita sa ato ang programa Deped Pagadian, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Dinhi lamang ninyo mabati sa 104.7 Malindang Broadcasting Network. Radyo Sakto. Kini ang inyong higala, Cheryl Gansubin, kauban sa ako ang partner karon diri sa station, Sir.
Okay, ako si partner nimo. Buntag pa sayo ma medyo. Wala ko sa.
Of course.
Good morning diha kaninyong tanan.
Kauban si Sir Dino Alviar. Maayong buntag sa ato ang Schools Division Superintendent Sir Danny Cordova. Ingon man usab ang ato ang gwapa ug maabi-abihon nga Assistant Schools Division Superintendent Ma'am Colleen Emericha. Good morning usab sa ato ang CID Chief Ma'am Maria Josa Peralta and ang ato ang SGOD Chief si Sir Isagani Kabahog. Maayong buntag ninyo tanan din haingon mo sa ato ang mga pinalanggang mga magtutudlo and of course ang ato ang mga estudyante diin sila ang ato ang target ani nga program. Good morning usab sir, imuhang kuan greetings.
Today greet ang ato ang tigpaminaw sa usab nga ato ang programa atong igreet sa og Happy New Year.
Yes.
Happy New Year. Happy New Life og lain na pod nga mga problema unya nga ato ang asikasuhon tungod aning umaabot nato na pod nga kaning ato na pong gibag-on nato nga pandemya. Kaning variant sa to ang Omicron. Pero despite anang naa, ato lang gyapon nga mga tag prayers sa mao nga proteksyon. Good morning kaninyong tanan diha.
Yes, and of course, good morning usab sa ato ang duha ka kauban di ani sa station no. Dili na gid sila mga bisita kay regular naman ni nato sila nga kauban. Ani karon ang ato ang EPS sa
Education Program Supervisor nato si Sir Salim Uyag.
Correct. And we also have our PSDS Ma'am Tess Taranza. Hello ma'am, good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Happy and blessed New Year to everyone, especially sa atong mga ginikanan ug mga estudyante nga naa kanuna nagpaminaw kanato. Relax lang ta no. Mamagyud ning kinabuhi na ups and downs, and then we always have our God to be there to protect and guide us. Good morning once again.
Yes.
So Salim, good morning Sir Salim.
Yes, Sir Dino, good morning. Sir Ma'am say good morning also. Happy New Year sa tanang naminaw karong adlaw. Naanapod ta karong adlaw Lunes sa mathematics. Atong paminawon ang mathematics 11. So akong giawhag ang mga senior high school students sa mathematics nga maminaw niya sa discussion sa ato ang teacher. Thank you very much.
Okay, so kani bitang ato ang mga modules no in answering our modules dili ra biya kaayo siguro lisod, especially if awhagon usab sa mga magtutudlo ang ilahang mga learners nga maminaw sa ato ang programa kay naagyo dire makatabang og unsaon nila pag-answer sa ilahang mga nagkalain-lain nga mga modules. Okay, sir, unsa man atong unahon karon?
Atong unahon si Sir Salim Uyag sa atong mathematics sir no?
Okay, so sir, go ahead.
Karong adlaw mga estudyante sa senior high school natay usa ka magtutudlo nga teacher 3 kini siya. Usa siya ka electronics engineer.
Uy.
Panggitan kayong teacher karong buntaga. Diha sa Zamboanga del Sur National High School, Senior High School. kuan po ni siya Sir Dino kanang BS Electronics and Communication Engineering.
Uy.
Dito siya nakahuman sa MSU IIT. Ni-graduate po ni siya sa Master of Arts in Education sa Mathematics diha sa St. Columban College. And 5 years na kini siya nga nagtudlo diha sa Sambuanga del Sur National High School. Usa ka banggitan nga teacher. Our teacher this morning is Sir Ray O. Bunga. Atong palakpakan si Sir Ray Bunga.
Okay. Okay, technician, take it away.
A blessed morning to all the listeners out there, especially our grade 11 students and of course to the parents as well. I will be your radio teacher this morning and I am happy to be with you for another lesson over the radio. I hope our students are now ready. I am Mr. Ray Obonga from Zamboanga del Sur National High School, Senior High School, and I will be your teacher on air for this morning. Before we start with our lesson, please find a comfortable place where you can hear clearly our broadcast. Listen attentively and get ready with your pens and papers, and of course your self-learning modules in General Mathematics Quarter 2, Module 6. This morning, we will be discussing business and consumer loan. I know that all of you can relate with our lesson this morning since we are actually applying it in our daily lives. At the end of our discussion this morning, you are expected to illustrate business and consumer loans, distinguish business loan from consumer loans, and solve problems involving business and consumer loans. Alright, dili ta maglangan. Let us now start discussing our lesson for today, which is again the business and consumer loan. What is the difference between bonds and loans? Correct. The main difference between a bond and a loan is that a bond is highly tradable. If you buy a bond, there is usually a market where you can trade bonds, while loans tend to be agreements between banks and customers. Loans are usually non-tradable, and the bank is obliged to see out of the term of the loan. A bond is a type of debt instrument. It is a way for a company or government to raise money by selling with annual interest payments. A loan is also a debt instrument, usually provided by a private bank with a variable interest rate. Now, we are going to identify whether the following situations are business or consumer loan. Situation number 1. Mr. Agustin plans to have a barbershop. He wants to borrow some money from the bank in order for him to buy the equipment and furniture for the barbershop. Situation number 2. Mr. De Villa wants to have improvements of their 12-year-old house. He wants to build a new room for their 10-year-old daughter. He will borrow some money from the bank to finance this plan. Sa ato ang situation 1, ang answer is business loan. Unsa di ay nang business loan? A business loan is a loan specifically intended for business purposes. As with all loans, it involves the creation of debt which will be repaid with added interest. A business loan is borrowed capital that companies apply toward expenses that they are unable to pay for themselves. Some business owners use business loans to pay for salaries and wages until their new company gets off the ground, while other companies put borrowed funds toward office supplies, inventory, or business projects. Lenders want to know how the business intends to use the borrowed monies, so business owners must make sure to have a clear outline for how the money will be spent. It may be used to start a business or to have a business expansion. Ato apod nga isgutan ang mga nagkalain-laing klase sa business loans. Mao kini ang mga type sa business loans in the Philippines. Number 1, corporate loan. A loan being availed by top corporation whose purpose is to finance their projects or expand their respective business. Corporations are usually provided by the banks with credit line depending on their size, liquidity, profitability, and other factors deemed by banks as necessary. Number 2, commercial loan. A loan being availed by commercial businesses that are not as big as the top 1,000 corporations. These commercial businesses are leveraging the value of loans for the growth and financing of their respective businesses. Number 3, SME or Small and Medium Enterprises Loan. A loan being availed by SMEs, which are usually entrepreneurs or start-up businesses. They usually use the funds for their capital and operational expenditures. Some banks even established a microfinance subsidiary to cater to the unbanked and the underbanked to help boost the economy. When we say unbanked, those who do not have account, and underbanked, those who have account but do not maximize their use. Banks are considered the primary lenders to the types of business mentioned above. Philippine banks have segmented their loan organizations according to the type of business customer they serve. Thus, banks have a corporate banking unit, commercial banking unit, or SME loans unit. They basically have the same function, but it gets more complex depending on the type of business customer they are catering. The following collaterals are usually being accepted by Philippine banks for business loans aside from the company's financial and industrial conditions. Number 1. Investment in government securities and stocks. Number 2. Different forms of real estate. Number 3. Deposit accounts with loan provider and other banks. Number 4. Standby letter of credit. Number 5. Updated financial statements. Going back to the example 2 in the previous activity, the answer is consumer loan. What is consumer loan? A consumer loan is a loan given to consumers to finance specific types of expenditures. In other words, a consumer loan is any type of loan made to a consumer by a creditor. The loan can be secured, which is backed by the assets of the borrower, or unsecured, which is not backed by the assets of the borrower. Money lent to an individual for personal or family purpose. Lending to retail customers or individuals is not much different from business loans. In the context of marketing, it is just a matter of segmentation, in which the loan product features are geared toward the demographics, psychographics, and behavior of the primary target market. O karon ato apod i-compare ang secured versus unsecured loans. Secured consumer loans are loans that are backed by collateral. When we say collateral, these are assets that are used to cover the loan in the event that the borrower defaults. Secured loans generally grant the borrower greater amounts of financing, a longer repayment period, and a lower charge interest rate. As the loan is backed by assets, the risk faced by the lender is reduced. For example, in the event that the borrower defaults, the lender would be able to take possession of collateralized assets and liquidate them to repay the outstanding amount. While unsecured consumer loans are loans that are not backed by collateral. Unsecured loans generally grant the borrower a limited amount of financing, a shorter repayment period, and a higher charge interest rate. As the loan is not backed by assets, the lender faces increased risk. For example, in the case of borrower default, the lender may not be able to recover the outstanding loan amount. Here are the following types of consumer loans in the Philippines. Number 1. Housing or mortgage loan. One of the most common retail loan products, as all banks offer this type of loan. A house is a type of real property. Real estate or real property is defined as land plus all the permanent improvements to the land. The purpose of a mortgage loan is to finance a new house and lot or a condominium unit for residential purposes. Banks usually just lend a percentage of the market value of the loaned housing or condominium unit. Common housing loan approval in percentage ranges from 60% to 90% of the selling price of the house and lot or condominium unit. Number 2 is O2 or car loan. Another common loan product wherein the purpose of the loan is to finance a brand new car or a second-hand car. Almost the same rules are applied to a car loan, except that the loan term is usually shorter compared to a housing loan, which ranges from 3 to 5 years. Number 3 is salary or personal loan. It is a loan product being offered to employed individuals. Here, the collateral is the contract of employment. Banks usually have salary loan arrangement with their corporate customers. Terms are shorter, which are usually range from 1 to 3 years. Number 4 is credit card. It is a credit facility that major banks are offering to qualified individuals or corporations. This card can provide the retail or corporate customers with a credit limit that they can use for daily expenses and other major purchases. When availed, interest is way higher than housing or auto loans. Interest rates for credit cards in the Philippines ranges from 3% to 5% per month or 36% to 60% per year. Those are the types of consumer loans in the Philippines. The following collaterals are required before a retail customer can avail of a particular type of loan. For house and lot loan will be the transfer certificate of title. For condominium loan will be the condominium certificate of title for housing. For car loan, official receipt or certificate of registration. This is the OR or CR. For salary loan, personal loan, and credit card, this is the employment contract, payslips, and income tax return. These loans are considered unsecured since the lender has nothing to get if the borrower defaults, unlike collaterals which are considered as assets. Consumer credit is the term used for a type of loan that is offered to business and individuals or other retail customers. These loans are usually paid through a series of regular payments or installment with imputed interest. The repayment of a loan in equal installments that are applied to the principal and interest over a period of time is called the amortization of a loan. There are 4 factors that need to be considered in a loan transaction. Number 1, cash price. The price paid all at once at the time of the purchase. Number 2, down payment, which is the fractional payment to the loan. Number 3, amount financed. This is the total amount granted by the lending institution to pay off the balance. Number 4, installment price. It includes all instrument payments, finance charges, and down payment. We also need to be familiar with the 5 C's of credit to understand the criteria that the lending institutions follow to assess the creditworthiness of a borrower. The following criteria help lenders methodically decide on whether to grant a loan to a business or retail customers. Number 1, character. In this area, the lender is looking for such a thing as credit history, training and knowledge, experience, financial competency, and plans for the future. In short, the character is the reputation of the borrower. Number 2, capacity. This refers to the ability to service the debt, replace assets as they wear out, and provide money for living and possible expansion. In short, capacity is the ability of the borrower to repay a loan by assessing the income against the debts of the borrower. Number 3, capital. This is what left behind a borrower when the liabilities are deducted from the assets. Number 4, collateral. This is the lender's security in a loan transaction. Number 5, conditions. These are the commercial terms of a loan transaction, such as the principal amount, interest rate, and the term of the loan. Let us now have activities or sample problems relating to business and consumer loans. Activity number 1, entitled SME Loan Installment. Franco Tristan Remittance Business, a startup business, purchased 30 laptops installment plan to support its remittance operations group with a 100,000 down payment and 12 monthly payments of 80,000. Question number 1. What is the installment price of the 30 laptops? To determine the installment price, we are going to apply the formula in getting the installment price, which is equal to total of installment payments plus down payment. Total of installment payment is equal to 12 times 80,000 plus the down payment, which is 100,000. Therefore, the installment price is equal to 1,060,000. Question number 2. How much interest rate was imputed if the cash price of the 30 laptops is 900,000? To answer the question, we will use the formula interest is equal to the principal times the rate times time. Since we do not know yet the interest earned, we will solve it first by subtracting the cash price of 900,000 to the installment price of 1,060,000. Hence, the interest earned is 160,000. The principal amount also will be derived by subtracting the down payment of 100,000 to the cash price of 900,000, which will equal to 800,000. To determine the interest rate, we will use the formula interest rate is equal to the interest earned divided by the product of principal and time. Therefore, the interest rate is equal to 20%. Question number 3. How much is the interest that the business paid per month? To solve for the interest paid per month, we will just divide the interest earned by 12 months. Hence, the interest paid per month is equal to 13,333. Question number 4. How much from the principal loan was deducted per month? We will apply the following formula in getting the amount of principal paid per month. Monthly payment of 80,000 minus the monthly interest payment of 13,333.33 equal to principal paid per month, which is 66,666.67. Let us now proceed to activity number 2, entitled Credit Card Installment. Bonifacius Bank's credit card 0% installment price of a phablet was 38,000 for a 12-month loan. If a 5,000 down payment was made, find the installment payment. Solution. We will use the formula total of installment payments is equal to installment price of 38,000 minus the down payment of 5,000, which will result to 33,000. Therefore, the installment payment per month is 33,000 divided by 12 is equal to 2,750. Let us have the last activity entitled Loan to Collateral Ratio. Your dad wants to purchase a new house and lot in Lawag City. So he decided to apply for a housing loan from the Bank of Vigan using his existing house and lot as collateral. The bank conducted an appraisal of his existing house and lot and came up with a 2 million appraised value. Your dad will pay the developer 20% down payment. The fair market value of the new house and lot is 1,500,000. What is the loan to collateral ratio? Solution. We apply the following formula. Loan to collateral ratio is equal to amount mortgage of 80% of 1,500,000 divided by appraised value of the property, which is 2 million. Therefore, the loan to collateral ratio is equal to 60%. Very easy, right? Yes. Congratulations, my dear students, for we were able to achieve our objectives this morning. We were able to illustrate business and consumer loans, distinguish business loan from consumer loans, and solve problems involving business and consumer loans. Dali ra kayo, di ba students? Okay. If you have questions or clarifications about the lesson, please feel free to ask your teachers in general mathematics. We are done with our episode for today. At this point, I would like to say thank you for joining me in this 30-minute radio broadcast. Hope to be with you again on a fun learning episode of Deped, Pagadian, Edukasyon sa Kabataan in General Mathematics. This is your teacher on air. I am Teacher Ray from Zamboanga del Sur National High School, Senior High. Paglambo sa salabutan, pinaagi sa kahanginan. Thank you and good morning.
Okay, so thank you so much, Teacher Ray of Zamboanga del Sur National High School. And iyang topic, sir, no? Very interesting.
Makarelate kita sa ning mga
Makarelate yun.
business loans.
Business and consumer loans. Nindot kayo nga topic, sir, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Makarelate yun ang ato ang mga magtutudlo nga naminaw karon.
Ano mga loans? Oh, basta loans
Basta
ganun
loan
na.
ng isgutan, makarelate tanan mga teachers.
Yes. Ato mga kabataan murag dili pa kay na ka-relate pero manghinaot ta, sir, nga inig mahimo ni sila mga professionals, if possible dili na lang mosulod og loan. Kami
Correct.
na lang pasagdahin na lang mininyo anang loan.
Oy.
Yes. Katunog itudlo ni Sir Ray,
Bunga.
Sir Ray Bunga, sir, no?
Yes,
Ang
ma'am.
nagkalain-lain nga mga
Klase sa
pamaagi.
loans.
Yes, klase sa loans. Okay. makatabang biya po ng loans usahay sir no labi naa kay mga projects.
Makatabang yun na ma'am. Kaya ako, experience ko ng loan. Basta natay project, kinanglan, mag-loan yun ta.
Correct. Yes.
Pero kaning usahay sir no kaning atong loans ato pong mamatikdan nga doon na po tayo kakayahan po sa pagbayad sa mga
Correct.
loans.
Mao gyud siya.
Correct. Dili
Kay-
pataka og loan kung wala kay kapasidad nga mobayad anay imong gihulman.
Correct.
Correct.
Mao gyud sir. Ngay di po ta kalon sir og wala po tay
O kapasidad. Oh.
Or else you will
Okay,
end
sir.
up in jail. Okay.
Sige lang ma'am, kay ang uban diha usay nga loans are very kanang gitawag nato onerous na kay meaning batag-as na kayo siya.
Oo.
Pero ang uban anang nami ingon na lang siya, sige kasuhin na lang ko ninyo. Kay example kung ang ilang agreement diha is 10%, pag abot sa korte is 6% legal interest.
Oo ba, sir?
Yes,
Percent
ma'am.
na lang na.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, maayo. Magpakaso na lang tayo.
Di pa mayo.
Joke, di pa
Pero-
maayo. Labi
Pero
na.
kwan sir no, wala man po mapreso sa loan,
Yes.
no?
Okay.
No, nga sa provision na to sa balao na no one shall be imprisoned by
Oo.
debt,
Oh, yeah.
by reason of debt.
Mhm.
Yeah, but imprisonment will be imposed to non-payment of tax.
Yes. Karelate yun sa sir.
Tighan ng abogado dire. So, pero dili po din do tanaw no ilabinag na ato sa Department of Education nga bisag sikinsa na lang atong utangan nya dili ta kabalo mo bayad.
Oo,
Diba,
na
sir, no?
yes, naman na po sa tong balao di anang naa nga
Nanay.
kanang sipang utang.
Sa
Labi nang
Code of
magpautang,
Ethics.
labi na ni ato mga school heads nga mangutang.
Oh.
Ngadto sa iyang mga subordinates, hindi pwede.
Dili na siya pwede sir.
Oo,
Mas
natay
may
balao
pa,
na sir.
mas
no?
may pa yung teacher mo utang sa principal.
Unya sir, kung pananglitan ang maestra sir nangutang sa private individual, unya wala mo bayad. Asa man na sila mo duol sir? Aman mo duol lang private individual para mo reklamo sa maestra sir.
Atos principal.
Unya dili man pud mo tabang ang principal sir. Yaman pong duphan yang maestra.
Unsa to
Asa
ma'am?
napita ma'am sa barangay?
Barangay.
Aha, okay.
Barangay.
Kung iyang personal gina niya, barangay siya.
Oo.
Pero kung mo relate na sa function sa ka-teacher, dili pwede.
Lagay.
Dili kita sa Deped.
Okay. Pero pag utang-utang ras barangay gina sir.
Pwede
Wala
na
man
po.
sa function sa maestra.
Pero ako po'y utangan ng naa, maguna-una na lang kung hangyo dito, dili pa abton nga moabot pataan ang puntuha.
lagi mo
Correct.
piya pod. Hangyoon na lang tong giutangan.
Mm.
Ma'am, pasayloan lang jud ko kay murag apiki pa, no?
Oo.
Correct. Anyway, kita nga mga naay loans, it's always nice to see a principal going down to zero.
Correct.
No? Nindot kay napapamation nga ang principal amount sa tong giutang magkaanam-anam og kagamay.
Mo bitaw na ma'am nga ato
Gitawag, kanang gitawag nga diminishing.
Yes sir. Oh.
Makarelate yun ano basta loan na.
Ang problema sir, mo diminish na, mo increase na mo
Diminish.
daw.
Mo bitaw na atong previous na to with legal attorney Carino, kato atong 6713 RS 6713 Code of Conduct, no?
Yes sir.
Ethical standard nga we should have to live in a decent life. Decent
Correct.
life meaning dili hambugero, kung dili simple.
Yes.
Simple living, sir.
Yes
Bahala
sir.
pobre basta hilas. Okay, so maadto kita sa science, Ma'am Tess.
Thank you, ma'am. So, for this morning, I'm so proud to introduce our two science teachers from Pagadian City, Pagadian City Science High School. So, let me start. Kung ani siya, ma'am, pinakabata siguro ni karong panahon na nga nagtudlo sa senior high school. So, she is Janet P. Teleporo. Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering sa Kulbaan, mantaan ni. Oy. So, 4 months pa siya sa teaching, ma'am. So, very new in our department. But somehow, uy na,
May hello?
Sorry. Saan naman to naman may tawag og kalit good sir. Oy. Kini ato ang trabaho bitaw nga kuan man ta on call magud ta, no? So, sorry for that. So again, kuan ni siya 4 months pa gyud siya sa Pagadian City Science High School. And then the other teacher one. The other one is actually Ma'am Aurelia Guisia, teacher 2. Kini siya murag tigulang na gyud. Medyo dugay-dugay na sa Deped, 5 years in service. So, ang isa, 4 months comparing with 5 years. So, dako yung diferensya. And he's actually a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Nursing, a licensed nurse also. And Accordingly, the outstanding teacher in Pagsay in 2021. Karon pa ko kahibalo, Ma'am Aw, congratulations. So let's welcome them, the two teachers from Pagadian City Science High School.
Magandang buhay, Teacher Net.
Good morning, Teacher Al.
Good morning, senior high school students.
This is your Deped, Pagadian City, Edukasyon sa Kabataan, School on the Air. We are more than happy to be with you in this learning session.
I'm Teacher Aurelio Bonitia.
And I'm Teacher Lynette Talaron, teachers from Pagadian City Science High School.
Students, I hope you are done eating your breakfast. Ug andam na maminaw ug makaton sa atong lesson karon. Ready na? Ready na? But before we start, I want you to get your Earth and Life Science Quarter 2, Module 6, your pen and extra paper, and find places to comfortably while listening to our School on the Air. I guess everyone is now ready. Allow me to introduce to you one of our competent senior high school science teacher of Pagadian City Science High School, Teacher Lynette Talaron.
Good morning, students. Good morning, Teacher Al. I am Teacher Lynette, your radio teacher in Earth and Life Science for today. Sa dili pa tamo padayon about our topic for this lesson, can you still recall, Teacher Al, what was our lesson last week?
Teacher Lynette, it is all about how animals survive.
You are right, Teacher Al. This refers to several major organ systems of animals working together in keeping them alive in specific environments.
Teacher Lynette, what are these several major organs of the body?
The major parts of various organs are skeletal system, integumentary system, urinary system, respiratory system, nervous system, digestive system, muscular system, circulatory system, endocrine system, and immune system. That is why we really appreciate the functional relationship of the different organ systems in ensuring animal survival.
I strongly believe, Teacher Lynette, that our students are now eager to learn more about evolution, as we are about to explore the process of evolution.
Alright, students, to activate your prior knowledge for our lesson for today, please turn your module to page 5, Activity 1, Clash of the Classes.
Teacher Lynette, in Activity 1, our students will try to look at the animal threats in the past, organize each threat into its proper animal classification. You can use some of the threats more than once.
Correct. Now, students, to answer Activity 1, based from the chart in the previous page, you try to analyze and arrange about the classification of animals according to their habitat, structure, and presence of backbones. The activity is a review to give your memory a short exercise.
Teacher Lynette, I think our students already have some brilliant ideas on their mind. Teacher, how are you going to identify animals according to the presence of backbones?
Well, Teacher Al, through the study of the similarities and differences in the anatomy of different species, it has long served as one of the main evidences for evolution. Aside from that, evolution is responsible for the diverse life forms on Earth. Although life is so diverse, patterns of similarities exist to demonstrate that life emerged from one common ancestor.
Wow, that sounds interesting, Teacher Lynette. Students, lend us your ears because we are about to start discussing the new lesson. Are you ready, Teacher Lynette?
Yes, I am absolutely ready, Teacher Al.
Teacher, mas ka-importante man nga atong mahibalan about the process of evolution. Aduna ba'y theory niani nga makatabang sa pagpasabot sa atong mga estudyante nga namati o nagsunod kanunay kanato sa atong programa sa kahanginan?
Yes, Teacher Owl. We know that theory of evolution helps us understand how life, once it came into existence. Embryologists are scientists who study of how creatures develop before being born or hatching from an egg. Everything that makes up the earth, they investigate things of the past to make sense of the present and prepare for the future. Knowing the time period or the geologic time scale will provide information of the earth's history.
Just like an evolution?
Yes, evolution is defined as any change in the heritable traits within a population across generations. It is not a haphazard event in nature that simply happened in a short period of time.
So, Teacher Lynette, evolution is almost close to the concept of change?
Sakto ka, Teacher Owl. Evolve means to change. This change, however, is not an individual species but on the population. The theory of evolution dako kaayo o katabang sa pagpasabot o masabtan og ngano ang kinabuhi miabot ug hangtod karon anaa pa gihapon.
Some of us have also Lynette na naka-record, and it also helps us make sense in the way how modern creatures continue to adapt and change today.
You're right. Gani, adunay duha a theory of biological evolution makes variable claims about living creatures. First, all living things here on Earth are related. They all evolved from a common ancestor. Second, the evolution of living things is powered by natural processes, things which can be studied and understood.
But is there really any evidence that these two claims are true?
Yes, there are so many observable facts from so many fields of study that the only way to talk about it is very simple. Let's talk about comparative anatomy. It is the study of the similarities and differences in anatomy of different species. One of the strongest groups that life on Earth underwent gradual evolution is the presence of homologous structures among different groups of animals. Homology is indicative of a shared ancestry.
One very good example of this is the group of animals called cetaceans, which are made of whales, dolphins, and porpoise.
Very well said. Whales live in water and from a distance. They look giant fish, but as you look inside, they have placenta and they also give birth to a live young. They feed milk to their young and they are warm-blooded. They cannot breathe underwater.
So instead, they use the breath in their lungs through their blue balls. Teacher Lynette, aduna pa ba'y kaparihan sa uban ng mga organisms kani whales?
Right, Teacher Owl. Whales have also hair just like land mammals. The bones of their front flippers also show that it has arm, wrist, hand, and finger bones. See figure 1, students?
Even though some bones are slightly different lengths and shape, all line same bone structure. What about vestigial structure?
That is the second type of structure. It is the vestigial. These are the structures that over time have lost much of their ancestral function. One example is the pair of whale bones where hind legs should be. Look at figure number 2. Now, modern whales do not have hind legs, but the bones exist. The similarities in the structure of these bones to the land mammals' hind bones is a very great scientists infer that these bones are leftovers from whales' evolutionary history.
How does embryology provide evidence for evolution?
Embryology, on the other hand, is the study of how creatures develop before being born or hatching from an egg. Now, students, look at figure 3. You can see a dolphin and a human embryo at similar stages of development. Notice that both have arm and leg bones.
So, in humans, the leg bud will develop into lines while the dolphin's leg bud will fade away as the dolphins continue to grow.
That's correct, Teacher Al. Studies show that species that are closely related exhibit similar embryonic development. Even when in adult stage, organisms are quite different.
All right. How does the fossil records provide evidence for evolution?
Well, fossil record is a history of life as documented by fossils. The remains or imprints of organisms from earlier geological periods preserved in sedimentary rock. Adunay gagmay lang na cases that original substance of hard parts of the organism is preserved, but more often, the original components have been replaced by minerals deposited from water seeping through the rock.
Kalagmitan, ang original material is simply removed, while nothing is deposited in its place. So in this case, all that remains is a mold of the shape of the plant or animal. So Teacher Lynette, as mentioned earlier, do we have preserved skeletons in our fossil records?
Yes, of course, Teacher Al. One of these is basilosaurid whales. They are known from multiple well-preserved skeletons. They existed at around 34 to 40 million years ago. An actual bone extracted of the forehead opening is not on the top from the ground of this animal, show that the nasal opening is not on the top of the forehead. Please see figure 4. Under A, like modern whales, nor at the end of the snout like those of the land mammals, and B, it shows instead of nostrils sitting right in the middle, inferring that this is an intermediate species, exactly what the theory of evolution tells we should find.
So, Teacher Lynette, ano na po ba'y mas labaw sa basilosaurid whales na may exist 34 to 40 million years ago?
Yes, Teacher Al. Another example is Myocetus inuus, lived around 48 million years ago. Myocetus has hind bones, sturdy enough to walk on land, but this animal is classified as whale because, number 1, their skeletons have been found with fossils of sea creatures, which means they lived in the ocean. Number 2, their short legs combined with long flat fingers and toes suggest that they were strong swimmers with webbed hands and feet. And number 3, the bones of its head match the structure of the basilosaurid whale as mentioned a while ago, suggesting that Myocetus inuus is a walking whale. Scientists continue to find other fossils of many whales like ancient mammals and together blur the line between four-legged mammals and fully aquatic modern whales, solidifying the idea that modern whales indeed evolved from land creatures.
Now, let's look another evidence, which is DNA. What is DNA molecules?
Teacher Al, kaning DNA molecules, they contain chemical codes, which serve as recipe for living things. Without ever looking at bones, embryo, or anatomy, researchers can compare DNA code of different living organisms to find out who is most closely related.
Whale DNA has been compared to all kinds of other animals, such as fish and sea lions.
Yes, that's correct. You name it, Teacher Al. So far, the closest genetic match is the pudgy. That is a water-loving hippopotamus. This does not mean that whale evolved from hippos. But if this genetic finding is correct, whales and hippos both evolved from a common ancestor.
Is there another situation? A DNA was extracted from a chimpanzee and compared it with human DNA?
Really? It was found out that 95 to 98% identical cytochrome C is a protein in the bodies of animals used by biologists to reveal evolutionary relationships. Cytochrome C comparisons reveals that the less the difference, the more closely related organisms are.
So another study of evidence, teacher Lynette, is biography, the study of distribution of plants and animals on Earth. Matawag ba nato ning importante sa explanation sa evolution kung giun sa pagkatagkatag o distribution of organisms in an environment?
Absolutely. As observed by Charles Darwin in Galapagos Islands, there were birds or finches with different shapes of beaks depending on their geographical locations. Each species was slightly different from others.
So using this observation, Charles Darwin was able to infer that these finches could have different natural conditions.
Yes, so different animals ended up developing certain striking features o kini si Charles Darwin nabantog o naila sa iyang dagkong contribution to the science of evolution.
Teacher Lynette, what was his contribution to the theory of evolution?
Well, the fundamental belief of Darwin's idea is that the origin of the different species, including humans, has evolved from simple organism. Please see figure 5. And it is often cited as the greatest biologist in history. His famous work on the origin of species, he explained the theory of evolution by natural selection. He proposed that over many generations, the characteristics of a population could change so significantly that a new species is formed.
So thus, natural selection is nature, gatekeeper, or control quality mechanism.
Yes, Teacher Owl. Well, it is usually described as survival of the fittest. Now, see figure 6 under A. You can observe the two sets of beetle. We have green and brown.
In figure 6b, however, you can see which among the two groups is more adapted to each environment. Since the green beetles are consumed by predators, its ability to reproduce is much less than the brown beetles do. How about in figure C?
Well, you can see the more advantageous trait. Brown coloration allows having more offspring, and eventually all individuals in the population will be brown.
It's important to note that the term fetus does not mean largest or strongest. It means most adaptable to each environment.
That's right, Teacher Owl. The brown beetle is the fittest because the color brown is less noticeable in its surroundings. O kung midaghan o miuyon diha sa palibot is called heritable trait or adaptive heritable trait.
So another evolutionary process is speciation. What is speciation, Teacher Lynette?
Okay, well, that is the evolutionary process by which populations evolve to become distinct species. It occurs when a group of within species separates from the other members of its own unique species and develops its own unique characteristics. Now, students, see figure 7.
How does the concept of speciation occur?
In figure 7, a speciation begins when a population is separated by the barriers, may it be physical, behavioral, or geographical barriers, such as mountain, rivers, desert, and other natural forces. Now we have in figure 7b, random mutation occurs in both groups. Mutation is a permanent alteration in the DNA sequence. In figure 7c, mutation produced individuals with adaptive characteristics that give them edge over others. In figure 7d, during the course of time and because they are reproductively isolated, how independent species emerged. Reproductive isolation means that they do not recognize each other anymore.
Teacher Lynette, is there a total disappearance of all the members of a certain species from the planet?
Yes, that is called extinction. This marks the end of a species' life on Earth. It is a social problem that threatens our survival as human beings because life on Earth is interconnected. When a species becomes extinct, it goes with its own gene pool, which is lost forever.
Aside from that, a species is said to be extinct when no member of the species remains alive anywhere in the world. Besides, Darwin argued that extinction is a natural phenomenon as a consequence of evolution.
According to him, extinction occurs whenever organisms fail to adapt to the changing environment.
This is true for normal process of extinction or natural extinction process. What are the 5 major causes of normal process of extinction?
Okay, now the Earth has already experienced 5 main mass extinction events: massive earthquake, comet, and asteroid bombardments, glaciations, and sudden global temperature change or disease.
Humans can cause extinction of species, such as new predators and food competitors, overhunting, and other influences.
Alam mo ba, Teacher Au, one of the leading causes of extinction are now thought stem from human activity, with nearly all threatened species also at risk. Another largest mass extinction occurred 250 million years ago, with 95% of all species were extinct. During mass extinction, old species are replaced with a new one.
Although mass extinction should not be taken negatively, so it is a normal cycle of life in this planet. Mass extinction causes new life forms to emerge. For instance, the mass extinctions of dinosaurs allowed mammals to diversity and evolve.
Teacher Au, we also have major mass extinction events. According to paleontologists, recognize 5 main extinction events, also known as the Big Five. Number 1, it is the Late Ordovician event 348 million years ago, when 100 families went extinct. Number 2, the Late Devonian event 360 million years ago, when 30% of families went extinct. Number 3, the End Permian event 245 million years ago, the biggest extinction of all the time, when over 50% of all families were lost. Number 4, it is the Late Triassic event. 35% of families died out. And the last one, the Cretaceous Tertiary event of 65 million years ago, which ended the reign of dinosaurs.
Now, it's time to answer the remaining activities.
Okay, well, students, turn to page 12 for the activity 7. You are pushing us to extinction. Now we have our directions. Your ability to analyze situations will be put to test in this activity. Now you are tasked to, number 1, briefly describe the situation shown in each picture. And the second one, explain how the activity contributes to or caused mass extinction. You may write your answer in a separate sheet of paper and attach it in the page.
So this activity looked very similar to what we previously discussed, Teacher Lynette. Another largest mass extinction occurred 250 million years, with 95% of all species were extinct. So during mass extinction, all species are replaced with a new one. So although mass extinction should not be taken negatively, so it's normal cycle of life in this planet. Mass extinction causes new life forms to emerge.
Okay, well, now this time, students, we have to turn our page to 14 and let's answer the assessment. Write your answer in a separate sheet of paper and attach it in this page. Now we have the direction. Read and answer the following questions. Encircle the letter of the correct answer. There are 5 questions. Handa na ba kayo sa ating pagsusulit? Now we have number 1, the structure with different form but similar function is called A. Vestigial, B. Analogous, C. Homologous, or D. Hereditary.
So the answer is letter B, analogous.
Okay?
Number 2. When you are comparing DNA to support evolution, you are using what evidence? A. Molecular biology, B. Embryology, C. Fossil records, and D. Anatomy.
Okay, now the correct answer is molecular biology. Okay, let's move on. Number 3. Nature has its own way of assuring only the most adapted organisms well live. This concept is known as A. Natural selection, B. Extinction, C. Speciation, or D. Evolution.
The answer is letter A, natural selection.
Good.
Number 4. What is the death of all members of a certain species from the planet? A. Natural selection, B. Speciation, C. Extinction, and D. Evolution.
The correct answer is C. Extinction. If two organisms have similar DNA pattern, they probably A. Share an ecosystem, B. Share a population, C. Share an environment, or D. Share a common ancestor.
The answer is letter D, share a common ancestor.
Okay?
Wow, how many of our students got the perfect score? Easy? Well, Teacher Lynette, I'm pretty sure that our students able to answer the assessment test.
You're right, Teacher Al. I do hope that our students who are listening to us right now has learned a lot and while enjoying the lesson.
I am sure they absolutely learned a lot today, Teacher Lynette. So students, you still have other activities in the module to further enhance your knowledge. So please continue answering the remaining activities and assessment. If you have difficulty, feel free to contact your teacher to help you.
Okay, it was very fun working with you in accomplishing the module, Teacher Au. This is again Teacher Lynette J. Peleron from Pagadian City Science High School. Thank you so much.
Such a pleasure to be with you, Teacher Lynette. Thank you for being with us. Once again, this is Teacher Aurelia Iglesias.
And I am Teacher Lynette Peleron.
Until next time.
This is Deped, Pagadian City, Edukasyon sa Kabataan, School on the Air. Good day, everyone. Bye!
Okay, so daghang salamat no atong duha nato ka mga very bright nga mga teachers from Pagadian City Science High School. Thank you so much for that wonderful lesson. Ma'am Tess, that was about unsa to ma'am?
Evolution.
Process of evolution.
Process of evolution. Okay.
Oh.
Grabe gyud ining kang Charles Darwin to ma'am no?
Malain-lain din ang theory ni come up ma'am about the process of evolution, and then we know very well dagag theories mo come out ani for as long as the scientists can prove themselves nga makuha nila nga mo gyud ni ang correct theory of evolution, then they can also assert mo ng daghan ng mga theories ani ma'am, but the noted one are actually two theories lang na kuan mo to si Sir ganina Sir Albiar
Yes.
sa theory about sa kuan sa tao, theory of
Natural selection.
gikan gyud ta sa unggoy.
Oh, ingon mo ko si Charles Darwin nga
Si
ang
Uncle
atong
Charles.
ancestor nga gikan ta sa kuan sa unggoy. Kay ilang nakita katong base sa iyahang pag-explore niya, doon yung mga ebidensya ay nakita. Number 1, chimpanzee na ang blood type nga type O sa mao nga chimpanzee na po sa tuwa.
Okay.
Pero dili raman na may itong basihan.
Pero pila po ka hundreds of years ma'am no nga nahimo ang ape nga tawo?
Yeah, kuan sa long span of time ba before kuan kini mga scientists bitaw ma'am, they're going to undergo what they call mga experiment or investigation. Dili biya na one day, it took them how many years pagyud ang kuan, especially when ingin ani nga klase nga kuan kaning mga theory that they have come out. it took them years yun before they have tried to present that before other scientists and try to prove for themselves basing from experiment. Kaya dili man na miingon nga basing sa inato nga istorya
Correct.
nga
Correct.
mga sanis ato abitaw mga hungihong lang di kita siya pwede. It has to be proven through experiments. Thorough experimentation.
Kay diha bitaw ma'am sa mga libro, wa jud ko kakitag scientist nga dili tagas og bungot.
Oh, good, sir.
Kay tigil tagas og bungot kay gibungot na lang na siguro gini-study. Pero aning kuan niya theory sa kuan kaning sa natural selection by Charles Darwin. Tanawa ang ilahang mga bungot pagkatag-asa.
Kinsa man sir si Uncle Charles?
Oh.
Galingon.
Oo.
Sub guys, experiment ba?
Lagi.
Focus.
Sir, kanang 20 centuries, pila na ka years, sir?
Kana mamara. Ay si sir tumatanan niya.
20 centuries, sir. pila
One
ka-
century is 100 years.
100 years.
Mm.
So, pag may nga kag 20,
200
200 years.
years.
Okay. 20. 100 years magka ng 1 century.
Oo.
So,
Kung 20,
20,
times
20,000.
100, 1,000 years.
1,000 years.
Mm.
Okay. So, 1,000 years. Wala pa po siguro. Wala pa man po kalahian ang tao, sir, no? After 20th century, wala pa man po ning evolved, no? Wala pa po ta natubuan o pakpak, mga ganun, diba?
Daghan magyud kayo mamoy. Manang natural theory of natural selection, na pa theory of use and disuse, pre anang giraffe. Sa una ka ng giraffe sa theory of natural sa theory of use and disuse. Sa una ning ato ang kuan nato, mga giraffe nato, gumugbo pa kay na siya mga liog. Sa dihang nagkataas pod ang mga kahoy, nitag-as pod lang mga liog.
Yawa, no?
Oh.
Lagi.
Oo.
Maaw siguro. Okay, ma'am, naapa kay ikadungag, ma'am?
So, katulad nagpasalamat digo sa ato ang duha ka kuan kining teacher, radio teacher, what you call this? Broadcasters nga. Di man imam ang kurso biya sa usa kay electrical engineering, ang isa pod kay sa nurse. So if you're going to trace that topic that we have discussed today, medyo layo gyud, but I know very well they have studied a lot and they learn a lot before they have presented this kuan kining topic nga medyo di biya gyud siya sayon to present that topic. So
Correct.
Ma'am Au and Ma'am Janet, thank you so much for sharing with us the topic. It's all about the evolution of life.
Okay. So,
Mo-
wala na tay
Wala na tay oras ngoy. Mga ngoy.
jud ngoy.
Bantog grasya pagkato na kog Manila Zoo.
Oh.
Agi ko dito ga-hike ko.
Oh.
Siya gitang kon siya. Go! Matay miglingi ko. Unggoy man agaw di ay mi.
Apil na tata sir, theory of
Agaw di ay mi.
evolution.
Hindi kayo maglagyo ng tawag unggoy, sir. Okay, so again, wala tayo igong panahon, no? Ato ang pangayoon, ang parting words sa ato ang mga kauban dani. Sir Salim Uyag, go ahead, sir.
Sa tanang mga naminaw karong buntaga, salamat sa paghatag og higayon sa inyong panahon sa pagpaminaw ni Teacher Ray Obunga. Akong gilauman nga kining hamubo nga higayon nato dinhi sa kahanginan sa 104.7 DXMB FM Malindang Broadcasting Network, nakahatag og learning sa atong mga dili lang sa atong mga senior high students, but sa atong mga ginikanan. Sa inyong tanan, daghang salamat. I always say, observe IATF protocols wherever you are. May God bless us.
Yes, thank you, sir. Ma'am Tess.
So again, sa ato ang tigpaminaw, especially gyud sa atong mga ginikanan ng mga estudyante, salamat kayo sa pagsunod sa atong programa. Nang hinaot kami nga at least nakatabang kining programa. Although it's a fact that dili gyud ta maka-expect sa nahibawan ka lang sa face to face, but let's try to pray to God that someday somehow maabot na gyud ang panahon na nga mobalik ta sa ato ang classroom, kay I've missed a lot seeing the students inside the classroom. So keep safe always.
Okay.
Okay, so sa ato ang mga tigpaminaw o sa ato ang mga learners, ayog kamo kalimot nga mutan-naw po sa atong YouTube o sa Facebook page kay para gyud maklaro kay atong doon na mo kay mga point ani nga dili maklaro, so pwede niyo dito makita para inyohang masubaybayan. So daghang salamat sa iyong pagpaminaw sa sunod na sa gayon diri sa ato ang Malindang Broadcasting Network 104.7. Daghang salamat ug maayong buntag kaninyong tanan.
Okay, so sa ngalan sa amo ang Schools Division Superintendent Sir Danny Cordova, ingon manusab ang team sa RBI sa Pagadian City Division. Kini ang inyong ubos nga higala Cheryl Gansubin nagaingong knowledge is power. Maayong buntag.
Ang usa ka oras ka programa. Deped Pagadian, Edukasyon sa Kabataan. Tulumanon sa padayon na paglambo sa edukasyon sa atong mga kabataan. Pinaagi sa kahanginan. Dinhi lamang sa DXMB-FM sa Malindang Broadcasting Network. Hangtod sa sunod higayon. Daghang salamat.
Hanap mo ba'y latest na balita? Iba't ibang uri ng musika. Buong araw, gabi man o umaga, magbibigay ng buhay at saya. Halika na, tayo sama-sama, himukin na ang bawat isa. Sa balita at mga musika, Malindang Broadcasting Network, andito na. Kung balita, dito mo maririnig. Musikang sa puso'y nagpapaindak at aantig. Kapit kamay, tayo ay sabay-sabay. Sa dalang radyo, isa tayo. Matatag na bayan, masigasig na mamamayan. Malindang Broadcasting, sama-samang tutukan. Buong Mindanao, tayo ay magdiwang. Bigyang kulay ang kinabukasan. Matatag na bayan, masigasig na mamamayan. Malindang Broadcasting, sama-samang tutukan. Buong Mindanao, tayo ay magdiwang. Bigyang kulay ang kinabukasan.
Malindang Broadcasting Network,
Paborito ng bayan.